12 France is great. I had plans of politely complimenting his country, but perhaps because I'm used to lampooning, I almost blurt out, great at surrendering. Cough. I cough drearily and say no more, lest he finds Chinese-styled sense of humor unacceptable. After chatting for a while, I point in the direction of the airport. Mr. Zarathustra will take a few more hours before he arrives. Shall we head inside and have something to drink? Wine? Rasego looks at me. No. I mean coffee, tea, cola, and so on. Don't drink and drive. I'm surprised that his first reaction toward the suggestion is wine. You're a professional chauffeur. Aren't you a little too rash? The foreigner, Rasego, clearly didn't understand my humor. After thinking for a few seconds, he says, Sorry, I woke up too early today and I'm still a little sleepy. I'll be sleeping in the car for a while. Okay. I secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Although I'm not against social interactions, and I'm even willing to be on good terms with people from a partnered company, I still feel a little uncomfortable thinking about having to spend a few hours with a stranger I'm not familiar with. Even if the other party were a beauty, this feeling wouldn't be any less. Yes, that's the case for me. Perhaps he shares the same thoughts. That's probably why he chose to sleep in the car. Returning from the parking lot to the airport, I randomly find an empty seat and sit down, not putting what I said about drinking something into practice. It all costs money. Based on my understanding of CEO Huang, he's quite generous. But at the same time, as the big boss, he wouldn't pay attention to the reimbursements of a mere employee. These sorts of trivial matters are usually handled by the finance department that follows a particular procedure. Therefore, if I waited until noon at the airport, I would definitely be able to claim the expenses for lunch, but I would have to bear the expenses for coffee, cola, tea, snacks, etc. Those are unnecessary expenses. Of course, if I could get Comrade Rasego to join me for the meal, then I would be able to claim such expenses, client entertainment. For this reason, when I invited him earlier, I was actually quite sincere. At least half of it was true. After sitting for a while and using my phone, I suddenly realized a serious issue. I hadn't had breakfast yet. I had left in a hurry this morning. As I listen to the rumbling of my stomach and feel my thirst and hunger, I decide to find something to eat. Food at the airport is expensive. Shall I look for KFC or McDonald's, or get some random slice of bread? I stand up and head to the side of the lobby. When I see the first shop that looks like it sells local delights, I turn in and look for food that's cost-efficient. My phone buzzes as I approach the frozen foods section. Hello, Mr. Rasego. What's the matter? I glance at the caller ID. Rasego's voice comes from the other end of the line. Ningbei is undergoing a thunderstorm. All flights are canceled. Mr. Zarathustra will switch to using the high-speed railway. Isn't this fellow too unlucky? I'm amused yet helpless. Then shall we wait at the railway station? There's definitely more than enough time, because the high-speed railway station is just below the airport. Even if Mr. Zarathal couldn't buy a ticket to stop at this station, it would take a maximum of 90 minutes from the airport to the municipal high-speed railway station. It takes less time than the time it takes from Ningbei to this city. Wait a little longer. I'll wait for confirmation, Rasego replies calmly. As we speak, I see the door to the ice cabinet push open. A small, fair, fat hand reaches in and picks up a Bakesy-branded white peach oolong-flavored ice cream. I trace this hand and see a child that looks around 1 year old. I have no clue regarding its gender. Sitting in a pram, its face is chubby and it cannot stop chirping. It's really adorable. Such a young child eating ice cream. The parents are so irresponsible. I gaze up at the adult pushing the pram and find a gentle, beautiful woman. I have no intention of stopping them. It's none of my business. As long as they don't abuse the child, all PLL do is lampoon. However, is letting a 1 year old eat ice cream a form of abuse? Anyways, the child appears quite happy. After hanging up the phone, I consider the possibility that we have to rush over to the high-speed railway station at any time. I simply make a choice, getting some packaged pastries and bottled water before paying for it at the cashier. Just as I find a place to sit down and quickly finish breakfast, Rasego calls again. The tickets for today's high-speed railway have been sold out. Mr. Zarathustra will have to stay there and come tomorrow. He sure is filled with bad luck. That's good too. I can head back directly. I don't have to wait until noon or head to the railway station, I tersely acknowledge. Then let's head back first. Yes, we'll come again tomorrow, Resego says immediately. Come to the parking lot. I'll send you back. I'm returning to the city anyway. Sure, I reply with a smile. It's not that I'm saving money and being greedy. After all, I can also claim my travel expenses for my trip back. However, there's nothing wrong with having good relations with the employees of a partnered company at work. Even if I don't end up getting an additional order, it gives me another outlet for job hopping in the future. The only problem is how I'll get along with him later. It can be quite awkward if two unfamiliar people were to get together. Let's just talk about work. It's only about an hour anyway, I console myself. I leave the airport and find Resego and his Merced. I get into the car and buckle my seatbelt. Before I can say anything, Resego turns his head to give me a glance. Sit tight. Huh? I feel lost for a moment. The next second, the car starts and speeds off. Hey. This is still a parking lot. You're driving too fast. After a series of bends, the car slows down and exits the parking lot through the gantry. Then the Mercedes continues to race. It swerves left and right on the road, taking up any empty spots. Not only is he on the verge of exceeding the speed limit, but he also shows no signs of stopping. On several occasions, I imagined that there would be a car accident, but with Resego's control, the car nimbly avoids danger. Aren't you driving too fast? I ask, coming back to my senses and gulping. Don't worry. I used to be a racer, Resego says as he looks ahead, his eyes bright. But isn't it too fast? This is a city road, not a racetrack, I lampoon nervously. I don't dare to say another word, afraid that Master Resego would be distracted and might end up hitting a guardrail or harming the innocent. At this moment, I recall my ability as an assassin. I decide that if anything were to go wrong, I would jump out of the car to seek refuge or forcefully control Resego to stop the vehicle. 40 minutes later, the racing car stops outside the building where my company is located. Thank you. My face is a little pale as I unbuckle the seat belt. If it weren't for my abilities as an assassin and my outstanding balance, I definitely would have gotten carsick and puked all over the ground. You're welcome. See you tomorrow. Resego waves with a smile. CC, exhale and bid the racer farewell. Entering the building, I glance subconsciously at the spot where the vending machine had appeared. It's empty. Fortunately, I head upstairs and press the up button. As I wait, I lower my head and straighten my clothes. Suddenly, a pair of long legs wearing leather boots walk over. City of Silver, mortuary. Derek stood in front of a flight of stairs as he looked straight ahead with reddened eyes. In front of him were two coffins containing his parents. Embedded in a stone plate in front of him was a simple silver sword. The frequent booming of thunder caused the house to shake and the sword to sway. The Berg couple inside the coffins weren't completely dead yet. They struggled to keep their eyes open while making weak attempts to heave for air, but in the eyes of some, the luster of their lives could no longer suppress their irreversible darkening. Derek, do it. An elder dressed in a long black robe looked at the youth and said in a deep voice with a staff in his hand. The expression of the youth was visibly contorted. No. Derek, who had brownish-yellow hair, shook his head repeatedly. He took a step back with every word and finally let out an ear-piercing scream. Thump! The elder struck down his staff and said, Do you wish for the whole city to be buried along with your parents? You should know that we are the people of the dark who have been forsaken by God. We can only live in a cursed place like this, and all the dead would become horrifying evil spirits. There's no way to reverse it regardless of what we do, other than ending their lives by the hands of a family member. 13. I raise my head subconsciously and glance to the side. This instantly makes me feel a little uncomfortable. This isn't because the other party is a gorgeous beauty, but because she's CEO Huang's daughter. Miss Bernie Huang. This lady's eyebrows are straight, her nose high, and she wears a pair of blue-tint-colored contacts. Together with her slightly curled hair that she dyed a chestnut color, she has a level of beauty belonging to foreigner. Seeing her look at me, I instinctively open my mouth to greet her. Miss Huang. No, that might bring about negative connotations, my lady Miss Huang. It's too exaggerated, just like a brainless idle drama, Madame Huang. This clearly doesn't suit a young girl. She'll get angry, Teacher Huang. She's still a student, as my thoughts run through my mind. The young lady, Miss Bernie Huang, nods at me. Hello. Hello, I respond reflexively, using an honorific greeting. Is my dad in the office? Miss Huang asks softly. Oh, sorry. I don't know. I just came back from some work outside. I haven't stepped into the office yet, I answer honestly. Miss Huang nods slightly and doesn't say anything else because the lift we're waiting for has already reached the first floor. As the lift moves up, I try my best to find a topic to prevent the situation from being awkward, but I don't dare to strike up a random conversation. CEO Huang treasures his daughter very much. If I were to offend her by saying something wrong, I might be fired today. Joe? At this moment, Miss Huang turns to look at me and says hesitantly, as if she's trying to recall my name. Joe Mingrui. I hurriedly say my name. Although Miss Huang often comes to the office to help her mother check on her father, I believe that she definitely doesn't know a mere employee like me. Be able to have a slight impression of my surname means that her memory is beyond imagination. Mr. Joe, I have something I need your help on. Miss Huang asks politely. No problem. As long as I can do it. I reply without hesitation. As long as Miss Huang is satisfied, a promotion and a pay raise would not be too far away. As we speak, we exit the elevator and enter the company. Help me translate a batch of documents for me. Bernie Huang walks in her leather boots as she says. Translate, what language is it? I ask hurriedly. Cursive script, Miss Huang replies simply. Cursive script, I haven't learned that before. Just as I'm about to answer, Miss Huang suddenly picks up her pace. We have already arrived outside CEO Huang's office. This lady doesn't give CEO Huang any face at all. She walks past the female secretary that is stationed outside, nimbly reaching out her hand and pushing open the door gently. Let's hope that CEO Huang isn't spreading his love early in the morning. I silently pray in my heart before taking an indiscernible step to the side in case I get embroiled in CEO Huang's family matter. Of course, I'm not that nervous either. After all CEO Huang's experience, if he were to do any sordid deeds in the office, he would definitely lock the door from the inside. As expected, there's no one in the office. CEO Huang is at a meeting. Female secretary stands up nervously and tells Miss Huang. TLL, wait for him inside. Miss Huang nods and walks into the room. One step later, she turns her head and says, Mr. Zhou, please come in. All right. I walk over and quickly say, I don't have much knowledge about cursive script. Take a look first. Miss Huang stops by the door and says. When I enter, she casually closes the door. Then she flips her sling bag and takes out a stack of paper. Try and see if you can read it. If possible, read it to me. Okay. I take the stack of papers from her. My whole body turns stiff from that cursory look. If I'm not wrong, the cursive script on the paper is from CEO Huang. I've seen the comments he had written on documents on several occasions. This is CEO Huang's diary. Damn, don't tell me he writes down every affair. Which decent person writes a diary? I can't help but sweat. If I read it, I offend CEO Huang. If I don't read it, I offend Miss Huang. What does it mean to be in a dilemma? This is what it means to be in a dilemma. Wait, I don't know cursive script. Haha, I can't read it. Although I can barely make out what CEO Huang has written, I really don't know any cursive script. I immediately open my mouth. And Miss Huang, I can't. Before I finish, the office door is pushed open. Thud. CEO Huang rushes in, and he scans the both of us with his widened eye. He retracts his gaze from the gap between me and Miss Huang, and he smiles. Bebe, why didn't you give me a call? I could have gone down to bring you up. TM already of age. Miss Huang glances at me from the corner of her eye. I'm just making a request to Mr. Zhou for his help. I immediately understand her intention. Secretly, I pull the documents behind my back. Call him Uncle Joe. CEO Huang smiles as he emphasizes. Then he turns his head to look at me. You may leave. I'll holler if there's anything. Okay. I use this opportunity to leave the office and return to my seat, where I hide the paper. Before I can switch on the computer, Razan leans in and says with a suppressed voice, You're finished. I stare blankly. Don't you know that CEO Huang dotes on his daughter to the point of having an obsession? He hates seeing other men get close to his daughter the most. During Miss Huang's past few visits, the men who took the initiative to offer their help have either quit or transferred to a branch company at a Tier 3 city, Razan said with a chuckle. It can't be. I was just in proximity to her. I mainly did so because I wanted to please CEO Huang. I grit my teeth from hearing that. Tusk, don't you know what kind of man CEO Huang is? In his eyes, all men are the same as him. If one has money, they'll definitely be playing around, loving everyone they see, making love to everyone they see. If one doesn't have money, then they'll seduce the rich and beautiful lady, take up the post of CEO, and elevate themselves to the peak point of life. Therefore, in the eyes of men like you, Miss Huang is the most tempting of prey, Razan said half-jokingly. TT's just that, it's just that Miss Huang asked me for help. I wasn't playing around at all. I feel wronged. You really weren't playing around? Razan casually asks. Of course. I immediately raise my fingers in an oath. Think about it. To develop and maintain a relationship, you'll need about 2 to 3 hours a day, right? If it's 2 relationships, it'll take 4 to 5 hours. There are 7 hours for sleep every night, an hour's nap in the afternoon, 9 hours of work, and 3 meals which add up to an hour. That's already 18 hours, leaving only 6 hours left in a day. If I were playing around and tried to two-time, I wouldn't have the time to play games, watch videos, or read novels. How tiring, how boring. Makes sense, Razan slowly nods before saying with a smile, right now, you need a book on time management. Before I can answer, she continues, but how does CEO Huang manage to end time so many women? He's different. If it's just one partner, then he might take 1 hour out of his 2 to 3 day schedule to maintain the relationship, I answer thoughtfully. Razan tersely acknowledges. That's right. CEO Huang is different from us. He's handsome and rich, sigh. Razan and I sigh at the same time. Razan, who's quite the gossip monger, suddenly shrinks back. Old AI is here. I'll be returning to my seat first. Just as Razan leaves, CEO Huang's person in charge, the corporate office's director AI appears and stops in front of me. He's already old. His hair is completely white and his face is pale. Send everything you need to claim today to finance. You don't have to receive Mr. Zarathustra anymore, old AI says to me as I hurriedly stand up. No way, they're firing me already. I'm going to get a month's severance pay. Am momentarily stunned. Old AI passes me a document and continues, liaise with the members involved in this project. It's a project the company is working on with the police. Oh, the turn of events is too sudden that I don't know how to respond. Realizing that I don't have to ride with Resego tomorrow, I have the baffling feeling that it might not be a bad idea. 14. After finding the project team and gaining an understanding of the situation, I spend quite a bit of time organizing the information. I also leave the company at 3 in the afternoon, preparing myself to head towards the city's police station to visit the staff in charge. After leaving my company's building, I take out my phone, open my ride-sharing app, and submit my destination. Since it's not the evening rush hour, I get a driver in just a few seconds. He's in the vicinity, 1 minute. I glance at the notification and am very pleased that I don't need to wait too long. 1 minute passes quickly, but as I look left and right, I don't see the license plate that I remember. Suspecting that I've misremembered, I hurriedly unlock my phone to confirm the situation. At this moment, I heard the chiming of a bicycle bell. I subconsciously look up and see a green-orange bicycle. Sitting on the bicycle is a young man wearing a dark baseball cap and a thin black coat. Ring, ring, ring. The bicycle stops in front of me as the man extends his right foot to support the bicycle against the ground. His forehead is wide and his face is thin. His short black hair is slightly curled, and his eyes are darker than an ordinary person's, close to pure black. His biggest characteristic was that, like a cosplayer, he wore a crystal monocle on his right eye. Holding the bicycle's handle with one hand, the man adjusts his monocle with the other. He smiles at me and says, "You were the one who requested a ride." I did, but I requested a car, not a bicycle. I opened my mouth, unsure if I should answer. At that moment, I even underwent existential questions: who I am. Where am I? Where am I going? You're going to the police station, right? The young man with the monocle didn't care that I didn't respond as he asked with a smile. No way. Is there really an option for getting a bicycle? And I selected it somehow. I slowly nod. At this moment, there are only 2 clear thoughts in my mind. Should I take a photo or video to post on my moments? Should I call the customer service to complain? At that moment, the young man wearing the monocle points to the side of the building and says, "Wait another minute, my car is parked there." As he speaks, he takes out his phone and waves it. Huh? I still don't understand what's happening. The young man presses the edge of his monocle and smiles. T did something in the nearby alley just now. I couldn't drive through, and the distance to walk here was a little far, so I rented a shared bike. Team, sorry, please wait a minute or two. Since the other party has already said so, and I'm not in a rush. I politely reply, it's fine. The young man immediately puts away his phone and rode his bicycle to the side of the building. Soon, a white car drives over and stops in front of me. All right, you can board it now. The car window rolls down, revealing the face with the monocle. Just as I'm about to open the car door, I suddenly realize a problem. The car displayed on the app is black. I'm just about to walk to the back to look at the car plate when the driver waves his phone at me across the passenger seat. T have two cars. TM driving this car today, but I bound my account to the other one. Look, my phone is right. With that, he calls me. Seeing that the number displayed isn't a problem, and considering how I've encountered similar situations before, I'm relieved. I open the car door and get in. It's broad daylight in a bustling city. What is there to be afraid of? However, the reviewing and verifications undertaken by the platform are really problematic. When I get into the car, the driver with a monocle looks ahead as he picks up a cigarette box and hands it back. Want a cigarette? Why? Why? Derek asked in despair, shaking his head. Why are the citizens of the City of Silver destined to kill their parents the moment they are born? The elder closed his eyes, as if recalling what he had experienced in the past. This is our destiny. This is the curse we must bear. This is the will of God. Draw your sword, Derek. This is a show of respect for your parents. After this, when you have calmed down, you can try becoming a divine blood warrior. In the coffin, Berg tried to speak, but he could only let out a groan after his chest heaved several times. Derek took several steps forward with great difficulty, returning to the side of the silver sword. He extended his shivering right hand. His brain registered the cold touch of the metal, causing him to recall the blood ice his father brought back when he went hunting. Blood ice the size of a mere palm was enough to keep his home cool for a few days. Images flashed past his eyes, his stern father teaching sword techniques, his friendly father patting away the dust on his back, his gentle mother mending his clothes, his brave mother stepping in front of him when they encountered a mutated monster, and finally, his family huddling in front of a flickering candle and sharing food. A faint sound croaked from his throat despite his utmost suppression. With a low grunt, he exerted force with his right hand and drew the sword. Taboo, taboo, taboo. He lowered his head and charged forward, raising the sword and driving it down with force. Blood splattered following a pain scream. The blood splattered onto Derek's face and into his eye. Isn't smoking banned? I blurt. As long as I don't mind it. Thin driver smiles through the rearview mirror. T, don't smoke. I instinctively shake my head. The driver holds the steering wheel with one hand, not really paying attention to the situation on the road. It's good that you don't smoke. I don't smoke either. Smoking causes one to have a ghastly appearance. Then why do you have cigarettes? I follow up quickly. As the car drives down the road, the driver uses his empty hand to touch the monocle on his right eye. There will always be some friends you need to meet despite you being unwilling to meet. That's true. I nod. At this moment, I recall Vice President Wu from the company next door. Although he smokes, his appearance is definitely not ghastly. However, there's no need to say it out loud. I'm not someone who gets into debates with others in a professional manner. You don't look like a rideshare driver. I glance at the obviously expensive cigarettes and glance around the luxurious interior of the car. Heh heh, the driver replies with a smile. Is my performance that obvious? You don't look like you make a living from ride-sharing. You look like you come from a rich family. I give a random reason. Either way, I can't tell. Heh heh, being born with a silver spoon doesn't bar me from making a living from ride-sharing. It allows me to experience a completely different life from my past, and being able to see all kinds of unique people is a form of entertainment. Don't you find it interesting? The driver says with a smile. How philosophical, I nod and casually say. That may be the case, but I think you occasionally only take a few ride orders and are usually busy with other things. Yes, I went to your building to investigate. The driver looks at the rearview mirror again, and his smile makes me feel a little strained. Investigate, I'm at a loss. TT's about an evil cult. They like to use vending machines to harm others. The corner of the driver's lips curls up. If it wasn't for the fact that I already knew about it, I would have lost my composure. You're a private detective. Do you know a detective named Sherlock Moriarty? This might be his nickname. I suddenly have an idea. The driver raises his hand to pinch the edge of his monocle and chuckles. Of course. We're old friends. I don't know if it's my imagination, but I feel like he emphasized the words old friend. Did you, or any of you, find anything? I try my best to act like a bystander. The driver half turns his head to glance at me and says with an obvious smile, guess. That's such a punchable smile, I rein in my emotions. Guess so. Then it's as you say, the driver says with an expression of, I know a lot but I won't tell you. As I think about what to say, he suddenly straightens his back and looks ahead. Then he pushes the monocle on his right eye. Suddenly, countless fragments appear in my mind. Overlapping roads, tunnels, mixed colors, different signboards, pedestrians, cars that swept backwards rapidly. They simultaneously explode in my mind at the same time, making me feel like I'm suffering from motion sickness. We're here. The driver's voice enters my ears the next second. I get out of the car in a daze and squat down at the side of the road, feeling like I might vomit at any moment. I recover after a while, but the ride-sharing car has already left. Thinking back, I suddenly shudder. The driver resembled the emoji that the star had mentioned. 15. No way. Is the driver related to the monocle incident that the star mentioned? He's been corrupted, or is he the source of corruption? Wait, why did I use the word corruption? At that moment, I feel like my heart stopped beating for 2 seconds. I forget my stupor as I quickly check my belongings. My phone is still here. My keys are still here. My travel card is still here. My 7 yuan change is still here. My shoes are still here. My pants are still here. My clothes are still here, and my body is still here. Phew, I didn't lose anything. Nothing happened. I heave a sigh of relief. I feel as though I was just overthinking things. People just love to scare themselves. Since I've already taken out my phone, I take a look at the time. 3:25 p.m. That driver drove really fast, 5 to 6 minutes earlier than the estimated time on the app. No wonder I got motion sickness. I gain a new understanding of the situation. So that's what happened. However, I keep having the feeling as though I wasn't in the car for more than 15 minutes, and that we didn't exchange many words. Maybe it was due to the motion sickness I experienced towards the end of my journey. Probably. I raise my head, get my bearings, and head for the eye-catching police station. It's a compound with several buildings inside. 2 fully armed police officers stand guard at the entrance. At this moment, I suddenly think of a problem. I connect it to a question from my prior inspection of my personal belongings. I didn't bring a paper notebook or pen. Of course, this isn't a result of my negligence. It's just that I'm used to using my cell phone to record matter. If it were something grander in scale, or in a more professional setting, I would bring a notebook computer. I haven't used a paper notebook in the last 2 years. In a work environment like a police station, the leaders in charge of matters definitely can't stand the situation of someone holding a cell phone and tapping on it during business exchange. That's not polite at all. When dealing with them, it's better to be more conservative and traditional. I'll first find a stationery shop, buy a pen, buy a notebook, and then go in. In a business environment, putting on an act is also a skill. I immediately look around to find my target. At times like this, I'll always praise my habit of leaving some buffer time. This gives me enough time to not be in a rush and allows me to be calm. The leader in charge of the project and I agreed to meet at 4:00 p.m., so I have 35 minutes of spare time. Normally speaking, taking a taxi from the company to this place would take about 20 minutes. With a series of actions like going downstairs, waiting for the ride, and entering the compound, the total time required is about 35 minutes. I set off at 3:00 p.m., giving myself plenty of buffer time to arrive at the scheduled time of 3:45 p.m. But considering the possibility of traffic jams, registrations, inspections, and unknown accidents, I ultimately scheduled the appointment to be at 4:00 p.m. To my surprise, the driver with the monocle drove so fast that I arrived ahead of time. I don't find any stationary stores despite looking around. I hurriedly take out my phone and use the map app to search for a nearby store. The nearest stationary store is 2 kilometers away. Get a rideshare to go over. Just as I'm hesitating, I suddenly see a small shop on the opposite side of the road. Star Dream Provision Store. Provision store, maybe they're stationary. I'll go take a look first. There's no need to get a rideshare. Star Dream. It feels like a celebrity management agency. I quickly make up my mind and quicken my pace. Taking advantage of the flashing green light, I cross the pedestrian crossing. Soon, I arrive at the Star Dream Provision store. The restaurant is very cramped, and the lighting isn't good. It's rather dim inside, giving me the feeling of going from afternoon to evening instantly. Lining both sides of the store are shelves that are about 1.8 meters tall. The items placed on the shelves are dazzling, but they all look rather strange. The cashier is right at the back, where a woman in a black dress sits at the back. She has her back against 2 wooden cabinets and is facing a tablet computer. She's playing with her phone. There's an ancient serial drama playing on the tablet computer, adding a bit of life to the dark shop. However, it's obvious that the cashier is only listening to the sound with zero concern about the content. This store's design is illogical, and the boss isn't meticulous. If I were a thief, I could take a few items and turn around to leave. She wouldn't be able to discover it at all. I lampooned silently before walking to the cashier and rapped the wooden counter thrice. "Hello, do you have a notebook and pen?" I'm referring to a paper notebook. The woman in a black dress looks up and replies with a smile. "Yes, we do. Over there." Her voice is very gentle, calming me down instantly. Her looks are pretty good. Even the dark environment can't mask her beauty. Without taking another look, I trace the shop owner's finger and look towards the corner of the third rack of the shelf on the right. There is something that appears to be a notebook there, but its design is very strange, as if it's made of brass pages. This is a notebook. I reach for the brass book. It feels cold to the touch, as if it's made of metal. However, there is indeed paper inside. "Yes," the shop owner in a black dress says with a calm smile. "My shop's theme is mystery. All the products in this area have this characteristic. Product differentiation strategy." This phrase flashes across my mind. At the same time, I survey my surroundings and see an antique quill, a silver mirror with black eyeballs on both sides, and a few dice of different shapes, too many to count. Mirror, I subconsciously pick up the mirror with my other hand. I want to confirm my current condition. I can't look terrible just because of my motion sickness and have it affect the business exchange later. The mirror quickly reflects my face, black hair, brown eyes, deep facial features, hard lines. Damn, when did I become so handsome? I can't believe that I'm the one in the mirror. After being stunned for 2 seconds, I quickly put down the brass notebook, take out my phone, and use the screen to examine myself. This is very normal. It's still my original appearance. I turn my head to look at the mirror again. I'm still very handsome in the mirror. What's going on with this mirror? I can't help but ask. The woman in the black dress smiles. "This is a smart mirror." "Oh, I understand." I suddenly understand. It's a smart mirror with its own beautifying features, filters, and Photoshop effects. Put it simply, it's actually a special tablet that's directly connected to TikTok and Beautycam apps. With this in mind, I lose interest and immediately place the mirror back in its original position. For some reason, I feel like the mirror is a little sticky. I use a lot of strength to retract my hand. "How much is this notebook? And this quill?" I don't waste any time. I pick up the brass notebook again and ask for the price. The boss in a black dress purses her lips and chuckles. 10 million. I almost spit on her face. "The 2 of these are antiques," the boss added. "Is there anything that isn't an antique? Something more normal?" I take a deep breath and ask directly. "Yes." The woman in the black dress points behind me. I turn around and see a black, ordinary notebook. I pick it up and flip through it. I'm certain that the surface of the notebook is made of hard paper. The paper inside is an imitation of goatskin. One of the pages is painted with the fool, who's wearing gorgeous clothes and dazzling head accessories. With the fool as my online nickname, how can I not recognize the fool? "How much is it?" I ask casually. 30 yuan, the boss replies with a good attitude. TT's a little expensive. What about this pen? I casually pick up another dark red, classic fountain pen. 25 yuan. If you buy both of them, you can have them for 50 yuan, the boss in the black dress says with a smile. I hesitate for a few seconds and feel that 50 yuan isn't an unacceptable price compared to traveling 2 kilometers by taxi. Not only is it a waste of time, but the transport cost would be around 20 yuan. Including the cost of the notebook and pen, it would be about 30 to 40 yuan. Okay. I take out my phone and complete the transaction. After leaving the Star Dream Provision store and returning to the police station, I register at the guardhouse. During this process, a police car drives out. TS, they're an emergency mission. The policeman on duty asks. While waiting for the barrier to rise, the driver replies indifferently, "Damn it, a car thief appeared. He stole 2 sedan cars." His vision became red. He pulled out the sword and pierced it into the coffin by the side. After the sharp metal pierced through flesh, Derek released his grip and wavered as he stood up. He didn't look at the condition of the people inside the coffin. Derek stumbled as he ran out of the mortuary, as if he was being chased by evil spirits. His fists and teeth were clenched tight. The blood on his face left streaks across his face. The elder who had taken in everything from the side. There were stone pillars that lined the main streets of the city of Silver. Atop the stone pillars were lanterns, and within the lanterns were unlit candles. There was no sun in the sky here, no moon, no stars, only an unchanging darkness and lightning that threatened to tear apart everything. The citizens of the city of Silver walked along the dark streets with the illumination of the lightning. The few hours when the lightning died down was considered by them as the true night as mentioned in the legend. That was the time where they had to use candles to light up the city, drive away the darkness, and make it serve as a warning for the monster. Derek made his way along the street. He didn't have anywhere he wanted to go, but as he walked, he realized that he had reached the door of his house. He took out his keys and unlocked the door. He saw the familiar sights, but he didn't hear his mother's concerned voice or his father reprimanding him for running about. The house was empty and cold. Derek clenched his teeth again. He walked quickly to his room and searched for the crystal ball. His father had told him that this was a crystal ball used by a long-destroyed city to worship their deity. He knelt and faced the crystal ball, praying without any hope in mind. He pleaded bitterly, "O magnificent deity, please cast your..." 16 stole 2 sedan cars in a row. This is probably a crime syndicate. How can one person drive 2 cars? I can't help but mutter inwardly. This is the cultivation I've gone through as a fan of courtroom dramas and detective series, as well as me being a loyal reader of crime deduction novels. Of course, I don't say it out loud. I believe that people with standard intelligence can come to a similar conclusion. When the guard on duty calls to confirm my identity, I take out my phone and check the time. There's more than enough time. I let out a sigh of relief as I unhurriedly circle around the pond in the middle of the courtyard and enter the building facing the main entrance. After I run through the possible exchange in my mind, I knock on the door of the target's office 3 minutes early. "Please come in." A mellow voice sounds from inside. "Oh, Officer Deng." As soon as I push open the door and enter, I realize that the officer sitting behind the desk is the one who had come to check on my residence permit. I always imagined that he's a police officer at the police station, but I never expected him to have an office at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. He even has the room to himself. "You are?" Officer Deng raises his hand to comb his receding hairline and asks with a puzzled look, "Do we know each other?" "Last night, you checked on my residence permit and reminded me of a mysterious cult. Later, we met again in Lawson. I even reported a woman suspected to be a member of the cult. I begin to suspect that the person in front of me is Officer Deng's biological brother, but I still give the detail. Officer Deng is enlightened. Jojo Mingri right. Team face blind, and I don't have a good memory. It was night, so I couldn't see clearly. I don't need you to tell me that your memory isn't good or how you have face blindness. I can tell. I politely smile. Today, I'm representing the Intis group to take over the previous project. Yes, we agreed to meet at 4. Officer Deng points at the chair opposite his desk. I immediately approach it and plan on placing the black notebook that I just bought on the table. I will then flip it to the middle. I can't let Officer Deng notice that I just bought it and have never written on it. Officer Deng glances at the notebook and frowns slightly. Following that, he picks up the phone and dials an internal department number. Hey, the Intis group is here. Come over for a meeting. After a simple briefing, he puts down the phone and smiles at me. This is an international collaboration project. We can't decide on our own. Yes, the other party's representative will be here soon. Team aware of that. I've read the relevant documents in the morning and know what's going on. Of course, even if I'm lazy and didn't read it, PLL still have given such an answer. I can't let the partner I'm working with find out that I'm skiving and not doing my job well. Not long after I sit down, I hear Officer Ding's office door open. I stand up politely and look back. I see an old man in a long black robe. His hair is white, and the wrinkles at the edge of his eyes and mouth are deeply recessed. His dark red eyes appear slightly turbid. A red moon pendant hangs on his chest. He looks like a priest from a cathedral. A foreign priest, I nod with a smile, fully displaying my courtesy. For some reason, I find this old man a little familiar, just like the first time I met Officer Deng. Strange, recently, I've been feeling sad for some inexplicable reason. Is this the after effect of the assassin beverage? I silently inhale and control my emotion. At that moment, Officer Deng introduces Old Neil, an Interpol representative, a clergyman. Hello, Mr. Neil. I quickly greet him. Old Neil doesn't speak. He sizes me up and chuckles. Lad, have you been troubled by ghosts recently? You can tell. I'm shocked. I don't know if I should admit it or hide it from a stranger. Don't lie. My eyes are very sharp. Old Neil smiles and points at his eyes. A little, I mutter. Hello. Old Neil immediately laughs. You're still too young. You confessed the moment I called you out. Actually, I'm not that sure. Yes, I'm a priest. I have the ability to expel wraiths and shadows. Do you need my help? Is it okay to discuss such feudal superstitions in front of a police officer? I open my mouth, speechless. Old Neil walks to Officer Deng's table and very naturally picks up the coffee can on. Don't worry. I don't charge much. If you're still a believer of the goddess, I can even do it for free. I wasn't a believer of the goddess in the past, but am now. At this moment, my heart is palpitating. I hesitate for 2 seconds before sighing. But I've already found a helper. Who is it? There aren't many people with such ability. Most of them are cheats. Old Neil skillfully brews his coffee and asks casually. Dolly, do you know her? I ask hesitantly. Dolly, then that's fine. Old Neil retracts his smile and asks, are you the representative of the Intis group? Let's begin. At the same time, Officer Deng shakes his head with a smile, looking helpless. You know Madam Dolly? I ask. Old Neil sighs and points at Officer Deng. His fiancée. Oh well, everyone knows each other. I can't help but sigh. This boosts my confidence in Madam Dolly. I stop chatting and begin communicating with Officer Deng and Old Neil about the project, taking note of their requests. Only an hour passes. Yawn. Old Neil stretches his back. It's finally over. These old bones of mine really can't withstand the torment of such meeting. I no longer have the energy. With that said, he stands up and smiles at me and Officer Deng. TT's time for me to retire. TT's time for me to leave. I'll go to faraway village. I'll grow some flowers, feed the chickens, and play the piano for my wife. I don't have to worry about things here anymore. Officer Deng stands up as well. As he sends Old Neil out, he smiles and says, let's go together. As I watch them leave, I suddenly feel speechless. 17. It's not even 5:30, and I can get off work normally again. I've already composed myself by the time when I walk out of the police station, feeling happy that I don't have to work overtime today. Before I left in the afternoon, I communicated with the administration department and was told that I didn't need to return to the company. After all, we didn't know how long the meeting would take. What if Officer Deng got me to stay for dinner, sing some karaoke, and enjoy a spa ride? Although the probability of this happening is low, even if it wouldn't happen to me, I still have to be prepared. The distance from the old estate where my rented apartment is to the police station is shorter than it is from my company, but I still chose to take public transport because the company doesn't reimburse the transportation fees for returning home. Metro line 3,600 meters, bus 72, 150 meters. I take out my phone and search for a route home. After careful consideration, I choose to take the bus. The weather is hot in the summer, so it's best if I can minimize the steps taken. As I wait at the bus stop for the bus, I can't help but doubt my life. I'm already a real, powerful, and extraordinary assassin. Why do I have to live like a slave of society? But I can't get any money without work. Assassins also need to save money to buy a house, food, and clothes. So at times like this, it should be like a game. Give me an assassin manager and help me gather missions. After confirming how evil my target is, I'll shave my head and flash through the crowd. No, being bald is too ugly. Forget it, what can I do? Record videos of extreme sports. I still have to practice and learn. I've never paid attention to it before. Actually, I can consider joining the police academy. As an assassin, I'm capable of capturing thieves and scammers. I won't disappoint with my abilities. The only problem is that I've heard that a policeman's income isn't too high. Perhaps it's better after the probation period. As I seriously consider the future, I board the bus. I hold the handle and notebook with one hand, and I pull out my phone with the other. I'm a refined person. I definitely won't blast out any sounds in public. I don't have wireless earphones, so I can only browse Weibo and Hupu, an online sports community website. As the bus drives, it suddenly stops. The driver's voice sounds from the speaker. Get off the bus. There's a malfunction. Wait for the next one. The passengers curse as they get out of the bus. Among them, as I sigh at my bad luck today. There's only one stop left. There's no need to wait. Peel, just walk back. I open the map app and confirm my current location. If I knew this would happen, I might as well have taken the subway. I follow the GPS, walking straight, taking a bend, crossing the street to the old estate I live in. At this moment, I see a 5- or 6-year-old girl jump out from the roadside, and an SUV is speeding over. T4, I'm stunned at first, but then I realize that I'm an assassin, an expert that surpasses ordinary people. Without any hesitation, I run towards the girl. Seeing that I might not make it in time, I exert strength into my legs and kick out, relying on my assassin's ability to unleash all of my strength in one strike to pounce forward. During this process, I feel like a sharp arrow that had been shot from a bow. In the blink of an eye, I lunge for the little girl and hug her. Then I straighten my back and quickly adjust my body structure, making myself as light as a feather. The SUV finally stops. I take a few steps to the side and steady myself. To be honest, I was hit, but because I made myself seemingly weightless, I didn't suffer any damage. Are you all right? The SUV driver gets out of the car and frantically asks. His face is drenched in sweat. I'm fine. It was a close one. I put down the dazed little girl and pat her shoulder. She has long, jet black hair which makes her qualified to be a model in a shampoo commercial. That's good, that's good. The SUV driver is relieved to see that I didn't dirty or injure myself. At this moment, a middle-aged man rushes out from the side of the road. When he sees that the little girl is fine, he's obviously relieved. His skin is bronze in color, and he has soft facial features. He has a pair of eyes that are closer in color to brown. They appear to have been through a lot. Thank you, thank you. Are you okay? He asks, concerned. No, my luck isn't bad. I just happened to avoid the collision, I reply with a smile, inexplicably in a good mood. I've finally used the ability belonging to an assassin. The SUV driver points at his license plate. Contact me if you have any problems. I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first. The middle-aged man nods before saying to me, why don't you come to my shop to have a drink to calm yourself down? For some reason, I feel a sense of closeness with him. And since it's free, I don't reject him. Okay. As I speak, I pick up the black notebook. After leaving the road and passing through the non-motor car lane, I see this gentleman's shop. This is a themed bookstore. It's renovated to look like a coffee shop. The other door leads to a nearby park with a wooden swing hanging on it. Don't wander around in the future. It's very dangerous. Come on, think, uncle. The bookstore owner pulls the little girl over. Call me brother. Don't make me sound so old, I joke. Thank you, brother. The little girl follows his instructions. Without waiting for my reply, she cleverly says, then my father is your elder. Damn, did I just get taken advantage of? I can only smile helplessly. The bookstore owner immediately asks, "What would you like to drink?" "A cold beverage would do. I'm not a picky eater." "Okay." The bookstore owner points at the surrounding bookshelves and says, "You can also pick a book to read." "Okay." As he mixes the cold beverage, I curiously walk to the bookshelf to see what's on it. Grossel's Travels Book of Secrets Roselle, and his 100 Mistresses The Self-Cultivation of Evil Gods, How to Make the Believers Offer Money. What kind of books are these? I'm stunned as I read them. Finally, I choose the seemingly normal Grossel's Travel. Just as I find a seat and sit down, the bookstore owner walks over with a glass. The drink is brownish red in color, and there's quite a few pieces of ice in it. After drinking it in one gulp, it's slightly sour and sweet. It's cold and very refreshing. Great for the summer. Only not bad, I praise. Eyes on this land that you have forsaken. O magnificent deity, please allow us, the people of the dark, be freed from the curse of our destiny. I'm willing to dedicate my life to you, using my blood to please you. Over and over again, just as he was in complete despair and about to stand, he saw a dark red glow burst forth from the pure crystal ball. The glow was like flowing water, instantly swallowing Derek. When he regained his senses, he realized that he was standing in a magnificent palace supported by giant stone pillars. In front of him was a long ancient table, and on the other side of the table was a human figure obscured by a thick fog. Other than that, there was nothing around him. It was empty and ethereal. Under him was a boundless fog and incorporeal dark red specks of light. Derek felt a flame of hope ignite in his heart. He stared at the human figure at the very top, confused and puzzled. "You are you, God?" After asking this, he suddenly remembered a statement he read from a book in the City of Silver and quickly lowered his head. That statement was, "You may not look directly at God." Klein leaned back as he crossed his hand. He adopted a relaxed posture and answered using the language of the giants, "Yotun, I am not God, I am merely the fool who is interested in the long history of this world." Klein had already activated his spirit vision by clicking his left molars. He noticed that the youth in front of him had different colors covering the surface of his astral projection, and the depths of his the boss doesn't say anything else and returns to the cashier. I then leisurely lean back in my chair and flip through Grossel's Travel. From time to time, I take a mouthful of the cold beverage, feeling very pleased. After a while, the girl runs to the back door and shouts, "Daddy, Daddy, I want to sit on the swing." The bookstore owner sighs and walks over with a smile. I smile and take another sip of my drink. I can't help but sigh. An afternoon like this is really nice. 18 Having had half a day to spare, I stay in the bookstore until it's almost 7. During this time, I can't refuse the owner's repeated offers. I reluctantly take a small slice of lemon cake, a set of pasta with minced meat, and 2 grilled sausages that had been battered and fried with spicy chicken powder. I don't need dinner. I rub my belly and decide to take a walk home. This helps with digestion. The only problem is that the weather is hot and stuffy. If I walk in this weather for a while, I'll definitely sweat. However, ever since I entered society, I've always had the habit of taking a shower every day. And today I'm also preparing to wash some clothes, so I'm not too averse to sweating. To my surprise, perhaps because of the assassin beverage, I managed to passively lose weight. I don't even have a tummy. Furthermore, I'm good at using the shadows to hide myself. When I return to my rented apartment, I've only sweated a fifth of what I expected. That medium lady, Madame Dolly, will be here at 9. There's still about 2 hours left. With more than enough time, I decide to use the fan after my shower and to play some games. As for using the air conditioner, the weather isn't too hot. Besides, after becoming an assassin, I feel that I have a strong tolerance for heat and stuffy conditions. To be honest, this cannot be considered unbearable. It's just that I don't really feel that hot and stuffy. When I enter the bathroom, I glance at the mirror and suddenly think of a question. That female ghost was introduced by Detective Sherlock Moriarty to protect me and investigate that mysterious cult. She hasn't shown any intention of harming me. Should I remind her that I've found a medium, so she should hide in advance? She doesn't have any ill intentions. She's very friendly. Besides, my reason for dealing with that mysterious cult is reasonably convincing. She must have sensed Madame Dolly's power last night. Even if I don't tell her, she should be able to guess what will happen next. I think for a moment and make up my mind. However, a new problem rears its head. How should I warn her? I don't even know where she is or how I should contact her. Looking around, I can't find any clues. It seems like I'm the only person in the room. Yes, there's only one person, but who knows if there are any ghosts. Perhaps she's hiding somewhere, and I can just talk to the air. It's rather silly talking to myself. I recall last night and cast my gaze back at the mirror. Looking at my reflection in the mirror, I whisper, I've hired a medium. She'll be here at 9. As soon as I finish speaking, the mirror in front of me turns dark, as if the surrounding light had been sucked in. The pale female ghost wearing a small bonnet and a retro dress appears in the mirror and nods gently. Thank you. In a second, her image disappears, and the mirror returns to normal. I heave a sigh of relief and hang up my clothes before I start to take a shower. As I shower, I suddenly freeze. Since the female ghost has already left, why am I spending so much money to hire a medium? The female ghost clearly has no ill intentions, and she's even secretly protecting me. Why would I spend so much money to hire a medium? That's 20,000 yuan, with a maximum of 50,000. Wouldn't that be a waste of money? While taking pity on my wallet, I feel the need to think of a way to cancel the contract. Anyways, it's still early. As long as Madame Dolly doesn't live in the suburbs, she probably hasn't set off yet. But I can't be sure that the female ghost doesn't have any ill intentions. In my hesitation, I wipe myself dry and put on my clothes. After careful consideration, I decided to use the strategy of delaying things to hold back on the exorcism assignment. During this process, if I discover something amiss, I'll immediately get Madame Dolly to come over. It's really embarrassing to break a contract. I return to my room, pick up my phone, and send a message to Sleeping with Corpses. Madame Dolly, the ghost that is haunting me seems to have left. This is the truth, but I didn't explain why. Indeed, after more than 10 seconds, Madame Dolly replies, could it be that the restrictions I did last night scared her away? Or maybe you were too much of a pervert and scared her away. Didn't I ask you to watch a Chinese ghost story and learn how to interact with female ghosts? I feel that it's more likely that a Chinese ghost story will make the female ghost shy. I didn't dare reply as I cautiously say, I don't know. How about this? Don't come over today. I'll keep an eye out for a few more days. If the female ghost really doesn't appear again, then forget it. If there's any problem, I'll let you know again. How about that? After some hesitation, I add, I can reimburse you for your preparation. No, I mean pay a reasonable fee. Let's do this for now. I thought I could catch a female ghost and play with it. Madame Dolly sends an emoji. Hearing this, I relax. I feel like I've earned a huge sum of money. After settling this matter, I happily play game. At 11 o'clock, I decided to go downstairs to buy some delicious food to reward myself, as I didn't spend any money for dinner and didn't have to pay for the exorcism. Eggplants, I have to have roasted eggplants, I mutter as I rush out of the estate. Before I can choose the barbecue stall, I see those punks again. Among them, the hooligan nicknamed Danny is seriously handing out flyers. His dyed, charred yellow hair, eyebrows, and his introduction of the description of tutoring class form a strong contrast. This tutoring class is interesting. I glance around and see an acquaintance sitting at the barbecue stall on the right. Miss Bernie Huang. How's a rich young lady like her eating at a roadside barbecue stall? Does CEO Huang know? I casually size up Miss Huang's companion. If it was a guy, that would be amazing gossip. A girl wearing black-framed glasses. She's not too old, about the same age as Miss Huang. I feel full of regret and was about to retract my gaze. At this moment, Miss Huang raises her head and looks over. At this moment, our eyes meet. She immediately stands up and walks towards me. This is a little awkward, however. There's nothing to feel awkward about. I live nearby, so what's wrong with coming out to eat some barbecue? I stand my ground and wait for Miss Huang and her friend to come over. Miss Huang stops in front of me and tersely acknowledges my presence. I have something I need your help with. The girl in black-framed glasses beside her asks curiously, Father, who is he? Only PFFT, what kind of address is that? The relationship between youngsters nowadays is so complicated. I'm actually at a loss as to how to respond. I can only force the corners of my mouth to curl up as I express my doubts with a smile. We had a bet in our dorm. Whoever lost had to address the winner as father, Miss Bernie Huang explained. She points at the girl beside her. Her family runs a tutoring class. T would like you to register for the dream tutoring classes and sit in for their classes. TL pay for it. PLL also pay you a fee for the work you do later. Register for the tutoring class. I can't help but turn my head to look at the hooligans who are seriously handing out flyers. 19. Why don't you sign up for it yourself? I don't really want to get involved in Miss Huang's matters. On the one hand, CEO Huang is both a playboy, but he also has a daughter complex. His thoughts go astray the moment he sees any man getting close to Miss Huang. Alarm bells would go off in his head, and he would overreact. Considering how it's a rather good source of income for me, I don't want to lose my job over this. Yes, although I've been working overtime for quite a while, I'm still paid enough for overtime work. CEO Huang has always been generous in terms of remuneration. On the other hand, attending a tutoring class is so troublesome. If I have the time, wouldn't it be better to spend my time on something else? Of course, if it's just to scout for information, and I don't have to spend my own money, then I can do anything I like while attending the class as long as it doesn't affect the students around me. Miss Bernie Huang points at the girl in black-framed glasses and says, her family's company and this company are competitors, and they know each other. Regardless of whether it's her or her staff at the tutoring center, they definitely won't be able to sign up for it. You can, I discover a blind spot. Miss Huang shakes her head. T can't either. The boss and part-time lecturer of this tutoring center knows me. You're kidding? I subconsciously ask. Miss Huang glances at the group of hooligans who are handing out flyers and says, she's Uncle I's granddaughter. Director AI. I laugh. This is friendly fire, conflicts arising between people on the same side. Without waiting for Miss Huang and her daughter to speak, I sincerely give a suggestion. To be honest, why do you need someone to attend their tutoring classes? You can all work together. Everyone can establish an indirect relationship. You invest in me, and I'll invest in you. Wouldn't a merger be better? Only by becoming larger and stronger will you be able to fight against other tutoring center chains. With that said, I silently apologize. Sorry, I've been reading more business reports recently. TLL consider that. However, we have to first grasp the style and quality of their tutoring classes before we can talk about anything else. Miss Huang replies in a businesslike manner. This is the result of an in-home upbringing. I sigh inwardly and casually say, then you can find a random passerby. They aren't trustworthy. I still have to do background checks. It's too expensive to find a professional company. The cost is too high. Miss Huang answers the questions that I haven't even thought of. She continues, you don't need to attend the classes often. You just need to attend 4 to 5 lessons. After that, it will be up to your own preferences. 4 to 5 lessons, which means 1 or 2 weekends. I'll treat it as overtime. I hesitate for a moment before saying, I'll ask. Miss Huang and the girl in black-framed glasses immediately replies, thank you. I then walk towards the group of hooligans and stop in front of the guy whose hair and eyebrows are dyed a charred yellow. Danny, this definitely isn't a proper nickname. It's best that I don't address him like that, lest we fight on the spot. Although I'm already an assassin and am unparalleled, there's no need for that. I cough lightly and say, what are the fees like for the tutoring classes? Hooligan with the yellowish eyebrows looks at me with a happy expression and says, it depends on the situation. For example, what kind of class you'll be taking. Is it an evening class, weekend class, or classes during the daytime? All of them have different prices. Also, what do you primarily want to learn? Foreign languages, mathematics, Chinese history. Or everything? And what level are you at? Of course, it has to be weekend classes. I usually don't have time. I'm dead tired after work every day. I just want to have some fun, considering how I had to receive a foreign VIP previously. I reply, weekend class, foreign languages, more verbal in style, adult standards. It's best to be more business-oriented. Sure, no problem. The hooligan nicknamed Danny turns over the flyer in his hand and hands it to me. Weekend business English classes, 8,888 yuan a semester, he rambles on. TLL consider it. I take the flyer and say, when can I sign up? The registration period is currently underway. There are discounts ether body. This meant that he was not a Bayonder. The fool Derek ruminated over the term and after a long silence said with difficulty, T don't care if you're God or the fool, my prayers will not change. I hope that the people of the City of Silver will be freed from the curse of their destiny. I hope that the sun and sky described in the books will appear in our sky. If possible, I wish that my parents can be revived. Hey, I'm not a wishing well. Klein put down his hands and laughed. Why should I help you? Derek froze. He thought for some time before saying, T will offer my soul to you. I will use my blood to please you. T have no interest in the soul and blood of a mortal. Klein smiled and shook his head. He saw the color of the youth's feelings turn into the color of despair bit by bit. Without waiting for the youth to speak, Klein nonchalantly said, but I can give you a chance. T am a fool that likes a fair and equal exchange. You can use what you can attain to exchange with me, or people like you, to exchange for things you want. But remember, they must be equal in value. This can make you powerful. Perhaps one day, you can rely on your own strength to free the City of Silver from its curse and make the sun appear in your sky once again. Based on the youth's description, Klein was confident that the City of Silver was the so-called forsaken land of the god. Of course, he couldn't be certain of this for the time being. After all, the religious literature claimed that the world existed in a sunless state during the first epoch, the Chaos Epoch. No one knew if they're for registering now. It only costs 6,666. The location is the address on the flyer. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the morning, Danny introduces in detail. T.S. That's so. I look around and casually ask, this is the first time I've seen people handing out flyers at night. Don't you guys have time to rest? We have to wait for the barbecue anyway, so we're just handing out flyers while we wait. Moreover, the foot traffic is the highest here at night, Danny explains indifferently. TC. I ask, what's your name? Do I need to mention your name when signing up? I would like to confirm if they get any commissions from successfully recruiting students when handing out flyers. No need. There's no need. Danny shakes his head in a slight daze. You don't get any commissions. All you do is hand out flyers. I press in puzzlement. Isn't this too professional? Besides, as a hooligan, what isn't better than handing out flyers? Upon hearing my words, Danny is taken aback. He smiles and says, my main job is being a tutor at the tutoring center. Teach foreign languages. 74. At this moment, I feel that this tutoring center is a little unreliable. It was at this time that their barbecue was done. The other hooligans stop handing out flyers and walk towards the stall. Danny panics. SHT. Wait for me. As he runs to the barbecue stall, he turns around and says to me, my surname is Duh. Call me Teacher Duh. The accent of the foreign language sounds quite authentic. I shake my head and return to another barbecue stall to find Miss Huang and her dormitory daughter. TLL, go take a look this weekend, I say simply. How much is it? The girl in black-framed glasses asks. They claim that there's a discount. 6,666. I don't hide anything. Miss Huang nods. Perhaps there are other small expenses. I'll give you a total of 20,000. The rest will be considered your higher fee. No, I don't need that much. I originally wanted to modestly decline, but Miss Huang offered just too much. Okay, I exhale. Add me on WeChat, I'll transfer it to you. Miss Huang takes out her phone. Just as I'm about to scan her QR code, I suddenly think of a problem. Why don't you transfer it to her, and then she'll transfer it to me? She refers to Miss Huang's dormitory daughter. Huh? Miss Huang is a little confused. If CEO Huang finds out that you transferred money to me privately, it would be a little troublesome, I say after some deliberation. When that happens, not only will I lose my job, I might even get run over by CEO Huang's car. All right. Miss Huang tilts her head and says to the girl in black-framed glasses, Katie, add him and transfer 20,000 to him. The girl obviously knows that Miss Bernie Huang has astonishing wealth and isn't worried that she would default on any debts. She takes out her phone and adds me on WeChat. Katie Huang, the name sounds like that of a family member. I glance at the girl's WeChat name and mutter to myself. After collecting the money, I point to the side. TLL be buying some barbecue. Shall we eat together? Miss Huang invites. Only no need. I'm very timid. At this moment, Katie Huang, the student in black-framed glasses, takes out 2 bags of snacks. Thank you for your help. This is a specialty of my tutoring center. What are these? I glance at the 2 bags of snacks. Dried mushrooms. It's not worth much. It's made by a biology teacher under our employ. His family farms mushrooms, Katie Huang explains. All right then, thank you. Since it isn't anything valuable, I accept it without qualms. However, the black things in the snack bag gives me the nagging feeling that they're poisonous. 20 looks delicious, I politely say after retracting my gaze from the dried mushroom. Then I bid farewell to Bernie Huang and Caddy Huang and go to the barbecue stall that I frequently dine at. It still isn't the time when the nightwalkers are most active. The small tables placed on the streets are a lot emptier. I easily occupy one of them and shout at the boss, "T'd like to place my order." The boss focuses on grilling the skewers, completely unperturbed. The lady boss walks over with a small notebook and a ballpoint pen. Without exchanging pleasantries or any small talk, I directly say, 10 sticks of pork belly, 10 sticks of pork ribs, 5 sticks of chicken skin, 1 set of chives, and 1 eggplant. The beef kebabs and lamb skewers at this barbecue stall aren't very good, so I didn't order them. Of course, the amount of food I ordered has already exceeded my initial expectations, but it doesn't matter. Not only did I save tens of thousands of dollars from the exorcism today, but I even earned more than 10,000 yuan from Miss Huang. I have to treat myself. As a normal person, after ordering so many meat dishes, I should always have some vegetarian dishes. I need to balance my diet with some green. As for eggplants, I don't view them as vegetables. They transcend the concept of vegetables and meat dishes, and are unique existences in the barbecue world. So Miss Huang is really generous. If I wasn't worried that CEO Huang would overreact, I would really like to add her on WeChat and ask her to trouble me more often. If there are any commissions, then just hand them to me. Of course, I can't take on things that are illegal and matters that go below the neck. I watch as the lady boss returns to the grill and repeats what I had just ordered. Looking around, I notice that the other tables are occupied by groups of 2s or 3s. There are also people like me who eat barbecue alone, but they choose to have it to go, so as to eat it at home. It's good to have more people. That will allow us to eat a greater variety of food. Can even have a few drinks. I ponder for a while and feel that I should get someone to join me. Then I suddenly think of a suitable candidate, Peng Deng. My childhood friend, Peng Deng, who lives nearby. Without hesitation, I take out my phone and send him a WeChat message, "Come out for barbecue." With my understanding of this fellow, he definitely won't let go of the opportunity to rip me off. However, Peng Deng doesn't reply to my message. He's in a ranked game. I randomly guess the reason for this and start thinking about who else I could invite. In this city, I don't only have Peng Deng as a friend, but the rest of them live quite far away. It doesn't seem like a good idea to get someone to take a taxi all the way here to eat barbecue at around 11 in the evening. After all, I don't have anything to discuss with them, and I didn't make an appointment beforehand. It might be better to just eat by myself. I stand up and prepare to go to the nearby Family Mart, Lawson, or a local mini-mart to buy some drinks. How can I not have cold drinks with barbecue? A few years ago, when the roadside stalls weren't under strict supervision, there was usually a mobile icebox placed beside these barbecue stalls. Then they would lay some cables to siphon off electricity from somewhere to sell iced beer and various cold beverages. Not only was it convenient for customers, but they could also earn some extra money. Unfortunately, it's difficult for such situations to happen now, unless it's a barbecue shop with a shop front. Looking around, I decide to head to the nearest local mini-mart. "Boss, help me watch my seat. I'm going to buy some drinks." I informed the lady boss, worried that there wouldn't be a place to sit when I return later. "Okay." The lady boss isn't worried that I would run away. My order is still being roasted. Even if I don't want it anymore, there will still be many people who can have it. When I'm almost at the entrance of the mini-mart, my phone vibrates. Taking it out, I see that Peng Deng has finally replied, "Don't you have a nightlight?" "Do you?" I respond reflexively. "Of course. My girlfriend is at my place here today," Peng Deng replies quickly. Following that, he sends another message. "Eating supper isn't good for your health. Take it easy. Bring your girlfriend along." I emphasize I'm treating. "Okay, we'll be right there." Peng Deng never needs to use transitional words in his speech. "Hurry up. Also, what do you want to drink?" I ask. Peng Deng doesn't reply immediately. He only sends a message after I enter the mini-mart. "Team not coming." My girlfriend says she's on a diet and doesn't eat supper. She already looks so thin, why would she need to go on a diet? I think for a while and reply, you can come alone. Peng Deng sent ellipses. She said that this is flaunting, a great insult towards her. I despise this adulterous pair for 2 seconds before deliberately saying, show me your masculinity. All right, I'll show you my masculinity. Peng Deng replies quickly. Oh, has the world turned upside down today? I'm stunned. Then Peng Deng sends a message. As a man, since I said am not coming, it means I'm not coming. Am speechless. Putting my phone away, I head to the freezer and fridge to consider what to drink. Frankly speaking, I don't like alcohol, but it's not that I can't drink it. It's just that I don't like it and feel that it tastes bad. Therefore, unless it's a request from a friend, I won't expressly buy alcohol. In all these years, there are only 2 types of alcohol that suits my taste. One is rice wine and the other is ice wine. The thing they have in common is sweetness. As my gaze shifts, I see a strange man. He's actually wearing a shirt, vest, suit, and pants in the middle of the night, as if he had just attended a business dinner. This stands out in the stark contrast with a mini-mart or barbecue stall. Oh, his eyes are red. He's quite handsome. I tusk and retract my gaze. What does his attire have to do with me? At this moment, the young man walks over. He hesitates for a moment before asking, hello, can you give me directions to the nearest hospital? You don't know the way. I'm surprised. The man answers with hesitation, I just moved here. Oh? I point to the door. Turn right and walk straight when you're out. You'll be able to see the hospital when you turn right at the crossroad. Thank you. The man nods politely. I don't watch him leave as I continue to lower my head and choose my drink. After careful consideration, I buy a can of pineapple beer. These beverages are divided into 2 types. One is pineapple-flavored beer, while the other is pineapple-flavored carbonated drinks which don't contain any alcohol. It only contains a slight beer taste to drive away the heat. Without a doubt, I choose the latter. After exiting the mini-mart and returning to the stall, I wait for a while longer before I finally see my barbecue. Just as I'm about to enjoy it, a figure appears in front of me. The red-eyed man in the 3-piece suit walks over and politely asks, hello, can you give me directions to the nearest hospital? You just asked me. I point that out. The man seems to finally recognize me. His expression changes as he blurts out, I'm lost again. Why are you saying again? I wonder.